Okay guys, welcome to the very first actual interactive live show for Barrels and Business from the Barrels and Business van up on Burleigh Hill. So, as always, my job here is to try and bring you an entertaining hour or so, depending on the barrels out there, of entertainment about the best surf spots in the world, but most importantly, tangible tips on how to build your business. So, I met this little frother a couple of hours ago.
Yeah.
Cory. So Cory was walking past. I was setting up to do the wetsuit CEO calls this morning with my coaching program, and some of the guys I met for the surf meetup said, "Yo, you need to do the podcast with Cory. Like, he's got this epic story." And I was like, "Fuck it, I've had a cancellation today. Let's do it." And you were like, all in.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So tell us, what I would really like to talk about first is, you were just telling me a few minutes ago about the best barrels you've had at Burleigh.
Yeah, so it happened cycling Gita. We had me and my brother, and I, another friend Diego, and then we had some other local Burleigh Frothers that were here hoping on a decent swell. And when we woke up, we not only had the decent swell, but we had like perfect offshore winds, like pretty much no one out and no jet skis out. So it was just one of those days where, you know, 1 in a million. Like, I've probably surfed 6 cyclone swells, and that was the first one in 4 years that really like had picture perfect waves. And, you know, it was like 10 to 12 foot on the big sets, which normally it maxed out at about 8, but because the wind and everything was perfect, it was just one of those times I got to share with only a handful of guys out in the water, when generally Burleigh points, you know, 100 guys out.
Yeah.
So, you know, while everyone's down at Snapper and enjoying Snapper, you know, 6 foot, we've got Burleigh, you know, pumping on no one out. So it's just one of those days where, you know, you wake up in the morning and you just hope for the best surf, and that's where your froth comes from. That's what I started Little Frothers all about, like getting the best waves, having fun, enjoying it, and also learning some techniques.
You were just teaching me a minute ago, because as the guys know that have been watching the podcast a little bit, I've just got back into my surfing last few years, but I had 17 years out of the water, and I was a longboarder when I was a kid, so always on 8'6", and like that was my comfort zone. Didn't think ever that I would be on a shortboard. I thought that was not a skill set available to me.
Yeah.
I look at it, I'm like, fucking, those guys rock, but I need this giant plank. Like, I'd never get there. And surprisingly enough, just over a year ago, I got on a 6 foot loop suitor because trying to ride a mini mail at Karamis is fucking stupid.
On high tide, you'd be fine.
Yeah.
That's about it.
But trying to paddle out at car parks on a 6'6", or even playground's not so bad in Lombongan, but
yeah, even
Bingen, it's not a great idea.
Well, I mean, Bingen, I've definitely had my worst ever reef cut was at Bingen.
Oh, really?
Yeah, probably. Like, I landed on the reef, belly flopped straight on the reef. It was dark. It was like, I don't know, 2 foot. When it came in, it looked good, and because it was dark, other boys had just gone in, and I just like, I'll just get this one, stood up, and then before I knew it, the reef was dry. I was down at Greedy's, and I went to try and jump back, but I slipped, and the wave took me forward, and I belly flopped, and I got ripped the whole way up the reef on my belly at Greedy's. So yeah, there's definitely some stories there as well.
Yeah.
But,
I managed to completely kook it at playgrounds on a board that wasn't meant for that, and a skill set that definitely wasn't meant for low tide there. And I managed to go over the falls because I was trying to get out of the way of a local, could see a local getting ready to take off.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck, don't get in his way. So tried to paddle in towards the white water, couldn't duck dive it because I was on too big a board. Thought I'd made it, got sucked. My friend said it's fucking hilarious. Full somersault and landed completely on a point in my butt crack, right? So reef in my ass. cracked my coccyx. Even better, coral and pieces stuck in there.
Ooh.
I was doing a business course at the time. Actually, funny enough, I teach the business course in Burleigh now, the same one I was on. And I had to get a random that I'd only just met to pull coral out of my ass with tweezers and tipping peroxide in. Had to do the rest of the course standing up because I couldn't sit, like cracked coccyx. I had to sleep. I'm like this is how I had to try and sleep for a week. And then I had to fly to Barcelona, 17 hours trying to sit down with a fucking broken ass. So the reason why I bring this story up is me previously riding too big a boards for the conditions that I was in or trying to paddle out in. And you were just telling me that cyclone surf, though, most people would be taking out a bigger board.
Yeah, that's
what
right.
Were you on?
5.7 Pizel.
Yeah, right. And what I was loving, you were telling me, hey, yes, we know it's easier to paddle on a bigger board. I know it's easier to duck dive a smaller board, but just walk us through, like, because this is what you teach kids and you're teaching people.
So I haven't really got the chance to really teach people much in big waves. I teach breath hold and I teach like the understanding behind staying calm under the water with the groms.
Yeah.
With the adults, at the moment, I haven't really gone with them with the.
I'm only the size of a grom though, so.
Yeah. We're all groms at heart, really.
I'm never growing up. I refuse.
Yeah. Once you get old, if you're still not a grom, you're not having a good life, really.
Wrong. It's just wrong.
So
always stay grom.
For me, it was like the analogy behind having a small board in big waves was really just understanding that I could make it out.
Yeah.
It really sucks when the rip starts kicking in and you're on a small board. Like you're constantly paddling.
When you're stuck in the sweep at the top of Snapper paddling. And you're heading fucking fast towards Kira.
Yeah, it's not always good. Like, I mean, having good technique paddling through the water helps.
Yeah.
But definitely helps. Like, and having good technique paddling, having good technique, like, and understanding on how to get yourself into the waves. That's one of the biggest ones. Having the right equipment's the next thing. So, I mean, I wouldn't say a 5.7 and 10 to 12 foot was really the best choice, but it's all I had in the car.
After you snapped
after I snapped and got rattled in through earlier. So, I mean, my little brother, he was running up you got your little brother running up the hill. He's frothing, you're sitting there like a little bit rattled. You kind of get that little bit of an eager push when your little brother's like, come on, man, let's go back out. And you're like, all right, like, if he's going back out,
suck it up, princess.
Out. So yeah, we spent 30 minutes paddling on the inside of Tally, trying to make it back out in 8 to 10 foot closeouts coming in. And I was pretty much at the point where I was ready to give up. Like, I was like, nah, there's no way we're going to make it out. It's just not letting us out. It's too frequent. Sets were too often. So I was ready to give up. I was ready to turn back into Tally Creek and give up. But I had my little brother in front of me and he wasn't giving up. So it looked a bit bad on me if I was going in and he makes it out. So I just stuck with him. He was on a bit bigger board. He was on a 6 foot board. And he just kept his momentum up, so I just tried to stick with him. I knew if we were going to get out, we were going to get out together. So I just hung in there, and I'm glad I did because I got one of the biggest waves and best waves of my life that I've ever paddled into, and I couldn't have asked for a better day to get it on. So yeah, I felt like it was a long time coming to catch a wave like that, and in a place like this. So. There's only a handful of times that you're going to get waves like that in a cyclone swell with no wind and no jet skis out. So I was really, really content. After I came in, all I wanted to do was find someone who had the footage and had photos. And I was like, once I got those photos... You had a good tip
for how to get those photos too.
Yeah, wear a colourful shirt.
Wear something that's easy to pick you up rather than what everyone else is wearing.
Yeah, well,
right?
Most people are in like weddies or in the weddy top or something like that. I just went out in like I actually got like hats and shirts that I made from Bali.
Yeah.
And I was wearing like a bamboo cotton shirt that doesn't collect too much water.
Yeah.
So with the bamboo cotton, it doesn't draw in as much water as normal cotton. So it's actually quite light through the water. A lot of shirts, when you wear them in the water, they get quite heavy.
Yeah.
But the ones that I got made, they're super light, and I think that's because of the bamboo that's in them. So,
Nice.
I end up
Being
getting
more
like a
eco
line.
fabric too,
Yeah,
so more
that
sustainable.
too. Yeah, definitely. So for me, like I just wore the shirt, went out, on the hope to get a good wave, and hope someone on the inside or someone on the hill. There was plenty of people taking photos that day, and I was just hoping to come in and hopefully someone got some photos. So I was really lucky to meet this older guy sitting on the hill, and he got like the full sequence, like probably like 15 shots of that particular wave.
Yeah.
And I had my hands up, like threw the hands up, like the biggest claim you could possibly do.
Yeah.
Once I did that bottom turn, I knew I was going to make it out. So, and yeah, I guess like we all get that, one shot in our life to get that wave, and every now and then you stuff it, and then sometimes you don't. So I was just lucky to get that shot, and yeah, I'm pretty thankful because behind my business that looks really good.
Yeah.
Especially for the young kids like growing up, and I'm not the type of guy who's been a pro athlete or anything like that. I'm just a guy who's just excited to go surfing, looks at surfing as a lifestyle choice, wants that for other people.
Yeah.
And and I feel like I can offer that to other people more now than ever with what I'm doing. So
that's an awesome segue. The reason why, so we were sitting here chatting before, and I'm sorry guys, we're trying to aim the lighting, like makeshift. The band's not finished yet.
We're gonna put it here.
We're trying to make
better?
it. There we go. Oh, you nailed it. You rock. Ideas, man. So we were sitting here chatting. I was like, fuck it, let's just go live, because you were talking to me about, like, originally you picked a job that gave you enough money and coin to travel and do what you really wanted to do, but then you were like, fuck, I want to swap that out for something else. And you started to tell me about how you created Little Frothers, and specifically the thing I wanted to hook into was when you talked about making your business plan of how you're going to swap your income, like your safe wage of like 130 grand or whatever, and make that from a business that's still going to let you have the lifestyle. So yeah. I went, wait, stop, pause. I want to hear that, and I want to get it on cam, because literally tonight I'm teaching a webinar on creating a 6-week get shit done plan, so that people can either launch their new product or their new business, or give the finger to the man, quit their fucking day job, and get their side hustle being their main squeeze. Yeah. And so I was like, fuck, timing. So talk me through. You sat down to do your plan. How did you figure out what you needed to do to be able to swap that income out and still be able to live the lifestyle that you'd become accustomed to? Well,
I had to be able to live with the fact that I knew that from the get-go, you're not going to have that financial income coming in. So the big thing is getting my head around that, and then the next thing is obviously making yourself turn around. Instead of going, I'm going to do that tomorrow, you're just going to do it. You don't turn around and go, I'm going to get it done next week. I'm going to get it done next week. I just started turning around and actively doing things that I knew that was going to help me, put me on my path of what I wanted to get done. Yeah. So I started with the hats first. I went with
one here?
Yep, that's the hats.
Let's get it in the actual camera to see if we can get it. Come on, Cam.
Maybe back here. Try here.
Wait. There you go. See? Ideas, man.
Yeah.
There we go.
So I did hats originally for groms. I didn't ever, when I was young, I really liked trucker hats. I had like a particular style that I liked. I had a feeling like there was a lot of people in my age having kids. So I thought, why not just make a trucker cap for like adults and kids, like, so for parents that want to look like their kids. So,
it's
like the
nephew,
dog thing where
my nephew
the dogs look like their
hat.
owners.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was that
my nephew's he was 2.5 when we got the same hat, but we had to have the same hat. The problem is he's 2.5, 3, and I actually wear the same grom size hat. So we both have a grommet size hat. Yeah, and it's like, which whose hat's is? Auntie JD's or mine? So I'm all about the twinning with the kid.
Yeah, so I really like that concept, and that's what I went with. And I went out of my way, and I took my hats down to shops in Burleigh, and I addressed all the owners and just said, hey, look, this is my concept, this is what I'm doing. Would you be interested in taking me on? Like, have you got a spare spot where I can put my hats? And they're like, oh, yeah, I kind of do, and blah, blah. And I said, look, like, I could possibly put it there if you like. And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, I'll just make you up a rack. And they're like, what, you can make your own rack? I was like, yeah, I'll just make you like a nice pallet rack out of timber, and I'll put them all here, and I'll style it accordingly. And they're like, okay, we'll give that a shot. And I was able to get myself in 5 shops in Burleigh, and I was just so appreciative of where I got myself to, that my next stepping stone was really the coaching side. And then from there, the coaching side, like, I could see like what I was trying to create, no one was really doing it. So I knew that I had to put a bit more energy into that. So I went around looking up what I needed to create to make that really functional and make it work.
Yeah.
And the more I looked into it, the more I realized that there is really no one like me doing what I'm doing, and doing it the way I'm doing it. So I feel like a lot of the schools on the Gold Coast are mostly learn to surf. There's still within the learn to surf, there's still those guys teaching like pros, teaching other guys who want to get better, but there's no real school for like people who want to get better.
Yeah.
So, and that's what I've really seen, that there's so many surfers out there now going to Sideways or going to Surfboard Warehouse, wanting to surf, wanting to get fit, and they don't know where to go. They don't know who to see.
Yeah.
And I feel like what I'm teaching is more along the biomechanics of surfing. So like I'll teach like how to get better on land-based activities, so that you can then put that back to the water. And I think the hardest thing is when you do get in the water, you've got so many variables. So you've got the ocean, you've got being able to pick the wave, you've got being able to where to take off, you've got 100 guys on the Gold Coast in the water all wanting the same
100.
wave.
100.
So, you
got 100 Gold Coastians, and you've got 100 Brazilians.
All frothing as well.
All swarming on you. Yeah.
So, I mean, there's so many...
Mate, try and being a chick out there. They just fucking drop in on you. They paddle on top of you. They try and psych you out.
Oh, but, yeah, I suppose,
unless you're one of the pros.
Yeah. I guess boys, they're a bit more ruthless. They kind of leave
Steph alone, but, man, sometimes at D-Bar, like, I literally have had a guy paddle, like, just paddling for every wave. There was another girl out there with me. Every time we'd paddle, she'd paddle, he'd, like, just dog her and, like, put her off, and then she'd get intimidated and pull.
Yeah.
I went to take off on this wave, and I'm like, oi, oi. And he literally just touched my board as I'm like paddling. I go to drop and he's like dropping with me. I'm like, he looks at me. The fucker looks at me.
Yeah.
Goes down the line, comes back and cuts back and sprays me on my own wave.
Oh, no.
And then goes down the line. Luckily, a couple of the local boys down there that are veterans, they saw it happen. They paddled over him. Asked him very politely to take a mosey on into the beach and leave us alone. Which is, it's nice to have someone in the water and have your back. But
yeah,
it does, like, the crowds here do get.
Yeah, they definitely. I mean, I've had run-ins in the water here all the time. So I mean, there's no, the local experience. Even locals get localism. So.
Sorry.
So, I mean, I guess it really comes down to, like, the experience that you can create.
Yeah.
For me, like, the experience that I can create for people is why they come back. And the feeling that you feel when you're around somebody.
Yeah.
I feel like as a coach, that's what I want to be. I don't, when I'm in the water myself, I might be a slightly different human. But at the same time, I'm still a nice guy. If someone wants to come up and approach me and be polite and be nice, I'm not that type of person to be like, oh, you're Brazilian, I don't want to know you. You know what I mean?
We love you Brazilians. Like, we're not like hating on you or anything.
Like,
just stereotype around here.
That's the analogy it can be the analogy with Australians and Brazilians.
Yeah.
And that's.
Oh man,
it's not necessarily that factor. Like, if I was to go over to Brazil and try and get a wave, oh my God, will I get a wave? No way. They get waves here all the time.
Yeah,
we're actually quite nice with what we who comes over here and what happens.
Yeah,
but there is the localism as well. So
yeah.
I mean, for me, like, I'll even go to like local spots where I'm from originally, like Lennox Head, and I'll have locals. Yeah,
I'm from Evans.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
well, we're a small town.
The small towns. Like,
Yeah.
The locals rule. God help anyone that's coming into the lineup.
So I mean,
Especially
I
back
still
when I
go
got-
home and I'll get still locals to try and give me a hard time,
Yeah.
and like I didn't even do anything wrong in that
No,
case.
it's just
And
you know.
you know, I guess a place like the Gold Coast is such a big place to have localism. It's hard because like the locals will put it down.
Yeah.
And you've got to understand who you should be dropping in on and who you shouldn't.
Yeah.
You know, and that just comes down to surfing terminology. You know, if
Yeah.
a guy snakes you or comes in the wrong way, you know, like and getting repetitively waves and repetitively doing the same thing, yeah, you're gonna drop in on that guy.
Yeah.
You know, you got the other one where it's the old dude and you know he's doing it.
Yeah.
And he
He's
starts
like,
snaking you.
I
you're
have
like,
been here.
"Oh,
He's like, this is my
yeah,
break. I've
this
been
is
here for
my
45
territory."
years. And you guys can just fuck off.
Yeah.
You get that a little bit down at Greenmount.
I think that you get that everywhere.
Yeah.
And I feel like, you know, it can just be the guy on the day. He's not having a good day at home or, you know, and he's feeling a little bit like he's in his own head and he's not having a good time, or, you know, he doesn't want to wait for waves. The waves are pumping, he doesn't want to wait. So he'll drop in anyway. So
what do you teach little frothers then? Like if they're going out and they're dealing with this stuff, obviously for me, it'd be a great confidence boost, or just to have a coach in the water with me and feel like I've got a buddy, even just a normal buddy, someone to be in there where that's got your back. But like, what do you teach these young kids going into the water, entering into these sort of situations? What's your advice to them?
So most of the time when it comes with the advice with the groms, it's all about having fun. Mostly like I gave the name Little Frothers because frothing's about excitement, it's about enjoyment. That's what frothing comes, surfing terminology. And little came from being grom. So like I teach adults, I teach groms. Yeah. I originally started it about
we're all little groms.
Yeah, being excited, having a good time, and being a surfer. And that's what for me what it was about. Yeah. That's why I started. I thought it was catchy. I thought that frothing was really like starting to catch on through surfing. So I put a trademark down on Little Frothers.
Oh yeah,
and and I said this is going to be what I want to do. This is how I want to live my life. I want to live it next to the beach. I want to have fun, and I want to do it with anyone who wants to have fun with me. And that's what it came about. And so I decided to put a lot of work in. Put a lot of time in and learn my own way of how to teach other people to surf. Yeah. On that, I'm gonna stand up. I've got, as you can see, I'm strapping tape to shit, so I have to move around a bit while we're talking. Yeah. But we were talking before about teaching people how to surf on land. Yeah. And how you can use the biomechanics and things like that. And I've got my carver over there, but you teach on a SmoothStar, and you said you then with your business you managed to hook up an affiliate. So walk me through the mindset behind that, a little bit about why you use the land to teach and the biomechanics, but then how did you, from a business standpoint, choose to go with SmoothStar? How did you organize the affiliate, and how does that support you in terms of making revenue? Well, for me, like affiliate marketing's smart. Like you got to do affiliate marketing. You got to have, have revenue coming from all different angles, I suppose. And that's where, where I do the hats, the coaching, the surfboards, surf wax, all that sort of stuff. I don't they all gel together. Yeah, they all gel together. What I want to point out to people specifically on that is you've got one customer that you can sell multiple things to. Yeah. So it's not like, we all know it's fucking hard to get customers, right? Yeah. So rather than like having 100 million things you're trying to sell to all these different types of people, you've got, okay, if I got my frother, how else could I serve them? How else can I help them? Yeah, how else can I help them? Yeah. What else can they buy? Sorry. Yeah. So SmoothStar created a skateboard, and there's other surf skates out there like the SmoothStar. The only difference between what I noticed with the SmoothStar, when it first came out, there was 4 main skateboards on the market. There was SmoothStar, Carver, OB5, and another surf skate. I can't remember right now. But does OB5 do a surf skate? Pardon? Does OB5 do a surf skate? OB5 do a surf skate. Oh, I didn't know that. I've got an OB5 under there, but it's definitely not a surf skate. Yeah, they do a surf skate as well. So there's a lot of different surf skates out there. There's a lot of people bringing in a surf skate from from China and all sorts of stuff. But for me, the SmoothStar, when I jumped on it, and having that natural ability from a young age, surfing, I had skating experience, I had surfing experience, I had snowboarding experience, I have a wakeboard boat, like all those sorts of things. You work out for how to do certain maneuvers naturally from being able to have experience when growing up doing it.
Yeah.
So for me, when I jumped on the SmoothStar, it really felt like surfing to me compared to the other skateboards. Also, when I did it wrong, I felt it straight away. And that was the difference between that skateboard and the other skateboards.
Right.
When I do it wrong on the carver, I can still hold my balance through my legs.
So we were talking about this before, because I said I chose the carver over the SmoothStar because I didn't have the confidence getting on it, because I hadn't been a skater before, and I wasn't even on a shortboard at that stage. I was still on a 6.6, and I didn't have someone to teach me, and I was like, oh fuck, it feels a bit too much. What would you suggest though? Would you be better off going on, like, just getting a couple of lessons and going with that sort of less forgiving board to start with, if you were super keen about increasing your performance rather than just going for a skate and having fun? If you were doing it because you wanted to make your surfing better, are you better off challenging yourself and doing that?
I definitely think
can you tighten the trucks so they're not so loose, or
when you first get the skateboard, it actually comes quite tight.
All right.
Once I get someone in and they've bought a SmoothStar, I'll generally loosen it up for them to a feel where I think it's good enough for that person, for their weight and size. So depending on your weight and size, I'll play with the truck to where I think it's going to work good for you. And then I'll
just hang on there, Facebookers. It's going to pause. What that means is, hang in there, Facebookers. You heard it click.
I thought I heard it click.
What that means is, okay, podcasters, thanks for hanging in there. We did have to switch out batteries, bit of technical stuff, but thank God for the van. The van's got a 240 volt, so it's charging everything as we're cracking along. Hey, where were we? SmoothStars.
Yeah, so SmoothStars. So I chose them because I can see when someone does something wrong. And also, when someone does something wrong, you'll bog rail. So bog railing in the surf, or bogging the rail in the surf is quite common.
Yeah.
So you've got to be able to show that on land. And to do that, I can hear it. Because I come from a mining background. So when I was drilling underground, everything was about hearing.
Yeah.
Listening to the drill rig, listening to the different sounds. So when, say you're drilling the core, I used to drill for gold. And when we were drilling the core, you get to the end of the core and you'd start getting high revolutions. And then that was when you would turn the rig off and pull the core out of the ground. So it's the same sort of analogy behind that. When you hear your car making a sound that's going wrong, you're going to pull over, right?
Yeah.
And the same on the SmoothStar. So when someone does something wrong, I can hear it. If they come off their bottom turn and they release too early, the wheels will let go. And they might hold on, but they'll let go, and I'll hear it straight away. And that'll be in their biomechanics, meaning that they won't be using their arms the right way to be able to come off the bottom of a turn. So I can see that. I can also hear that.
Yeah.
And then, so I give people the right biomechanics, which is the right understanding behind how to do a turn, how to generate speed, and where to put your arms in the instance of doing that, how to get high to low, all those sorts of things. And that can take sometimes hours and hours just to teach that on land.
Yeah.
So I don't know how guys are teaching it in the water.
Man, I had one lesson on my carver, and it became really clear why I had so many fails. Because again, coming from riding a longboard as a kid, and I used to ride sort of local comps in the south of the border things, I was really heavy on the back foot, so those big sweeping drop knee bottom turns. Yeah. And I'm now on a 5.7 Slater Gamma, a 5.8 Slater Gamma, and I do that, the fucking thing just flies out. And I just thought I was shit, because when I got on, Clayton's like, does your board just fly out from underneath you? I'm like, yes. He's like, not surprised, just so heavy. Yeah. And I don't know where I got this from, but I used to think that standing completely sideways was the thing to do, right? Yeah. You'd see all the kooks with the full crab stance. It wasn't that bad. But I didn't have my knee tucked, or just basic, I suppose if I someone that had a clue surfing with me teaching me. Or might have
Yeah,
had,
that's right.
might have had someone help me.
It definitely helps.
But hadn't really thought about the tuck knee, and like, you know, where your boobs point, your body goes. So
where your boobs point.
Yeah,
I like
he was like, well, I used to tell the guys, like, you know, where you point your shoulders or whatever, like, like machine gun jumblies out here. So just even those things. So you basically, although it's great if you're teaching new people or little frothers, but I'm assuming you can work with guys of any skill level, and that's going to help them improve.
Yeah, well,
right?
I've even had 60-year-olds come and see me.
Yeah.
So like I've had older ladies where they're up towards the 100-kilo mark.
Yeah.
And I've got boards for SmoothStar, have boards for those people as well. So like I would wake up early in the morning through summertime last year. We would be getting up with the women and like working in the car park.
Yeah.
And
was that you guys down there? Were you doing lessons earlier?
Yeah.
I pulled up near the pavilion, and I could see someone going around. I was like, oh.
Yeah, so I just set out a little course, and we just go for it. So I just teach them. I was just teaching them, like, they were more progressive surfers. So I just went with like basic right hand wave, what it's meant to look like, and then I took them out, and for the first time I got to film them. So like I don't normally like to sit behind the camera. I'm a frother. I like to be out there in the water with them.
Yeah.
And really egg them on into the right waves. So a lot of people choose the wrong waves. They set themselves in the wrong position.
Oh man, I seriously need some help with this. Yeah. Like, you know, it's other people seem so lucky, like they're always in the right spot or whatever. I just feel like I'm always not in the right spot.
Well, you just need to come out with me for a little while.
Yeah, we're gonna hook this up. Soon as I get this shit off my back.
I'll push you in.
I said before, I had my crew that I was coaching, and Kyle's like, oh, you've definitely got a board in there. I was like, no, I took the board out of the car because I knew I had we filled the gap today, but I knew I had a gap, and I was like, I don't want to be tempted to like get out there.
Well, you said you had troubles going off the rocks.
I've never been out off the rocks here.
Really?
So again, I need someone to. I get a bit intimidated.
Well, that's my favorite. My favorite is jumping off the rocks, and I teach that with the groms. We go out and we do it in a controlled environment.
Yeah.
And like I'll teach people the understanding behind patterns. I really like showing people a pattern, being able to read a pattern or see a pattern. Like we do that from a young age. So I'll just show people patterns in the rocks.
Yeah.
And work with them on where they should be jumping and where they shouldn't be jumping, and what tides you want to jump there from. And like low tides can be a lot easier to jump than high tides. When the waves are crashing on the rocks, it's generally when it's high tide.
Yeah.
Like there's so many different places you can jump in on the rocks, and a lot of people I'll see like, going off here, jumping out off here, and I'm just going, like, all right, this is worth filming.
Yeah.
Because you know that they're going to get
pumped. Of the day moment coming anytime soon.
Totally.
Yeah.
So I think there's lots of different things that you can teach people if people really want to learn. Hey Steve, how are you, mate? Yeah, it's pumping before. I reckon a little bit more tired.
Yeah, it's a bit low, isn't it?
Yeah. A little bit more tired and we'll be back on again.
Set up?
Yeah, we're live too. Go
Yeah,
live. Say hi, Steve.
Hello.
Hey, it's going.
Beards
This
are
is
us.
what it's
Beards are
going
us.
to be
Bring it
like
in.
with the random show on the Barrels and Business podcast these days.
Steve.
Everyone say hey, everyone pops by.
Hey, it's going.
Checking it out.
Make sure you say hi to Steve. Good guy, good surfer.
Yeah.
Keep it Burleigh beautiful.
Keep it Burleigh beautiful.
Keep it that way, all.
Corey's teaching us some techniques on how to get out off the rocks, how to up our game. And
Yeah, he's a man.
yeah.
Enjoy, guys.
Thanks,
See you
Steve.
later,
Yeah, what I like what you were saying there about patterns, and you said that you see them early on in life, you can use them in other things. Have you got any analogies for us in business, like with how you've applied it to building your businesses and either utilizing looking at patterns or?
I think the main goal for me with the business side of things is staying open to everything, and not closing too many doors. Trying to keep everything like forward focused. So like I'm always trying to stay positive. It's really easy to get negative. I think that you'll have people where they'll try and talk it down, or they'll try and say, oh, don't do this guy, or blah, 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 blah. And, they're for me the people that are really stuck inside their shell.
Yeah.
They haven't had the chance, or they haven't done it for themselves yet, or they're not happy because you're doing well or you're trying to succeed.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's going to be those people out there, and they're the ones that you got to ignore.
Yeah.
They're the ones that's the demon inside you too that you got to ignore. And I feel like a lot of people, it's quite easy to say no, and it's a lot harder to say yes sometimes. So I think for when you are in business with yourself, I feel like you really just need to stick to what you want to do, what you want to achieve, and just keep your head down and try and get yourself there. I mean, for me, it hasn't come easy. I'm still in the learning curve and still learning things in business all the time. Like,
How long have you been going now?
3 or 4 years now.
Yeah.
So like, I think for me, I try different things, and if it doesn't work, I'll try and improve on it. So, you can't go through life looking back, and you just gotta try and move forward. You've got to try and stay healthy, happy in your own way, and whatever that is to you, that's what success is.
Yeah.
I
I love what you said there. Like, there's a few things. Often, I wrote a post about this a while ago. Like, in Australia, we've got this ridiculous pissing contest over how shit someone's life is, and it's like, oh, I've got it tough, I got it tough, and then it gets into this perpetuating fucking conversation about competing about how crap things are or how down things are, rather than feeling like empowered to talk about the positives and being able to know when you need to distance yourself from those people and often and recognize, like, where are they projecting on you their fears or their shit, like maybe or their jealousy sometimes, like, because something like, oh yeah, you shouldn't do that, because they're too fucking scared to step out of their bubble and into their dream life, and they feel like constrained or whatever, so they're like, I don't know, they're kind of projecting that on you. And I think it's really important, like you said, to know when to say no and when to say yes, and to choose to move away from something if it's not serving you, or you can see that it's, maybe it's their shit, not your shit. What are some of the things you do for motivation that do keep you forward focused and pushing forward, and maybe distancing yourself from the negativity? Even if it's that demon in your mind.
I feel like the negativity is quite easy to take on, but the positivity like really charges me up. Like, once I've had a good surf, like, I come in, I'm so excited for my day, like, or seeing a client, and they're just like, sometimes I'll have a grom and they're lacking the confidence, and it may even come from the parent side. Oh, they're not very good. They can paddle out, but not really duck dive. And then I'll meet the kid. We'll get into like an hour of skating together, and they'll outshine it. And all I'm doing is just teaching them basics behind surfing.
I'll tell you what fucks me off. There's a couple of spots I surf, and the dads are out there with the kids, and maybe they've got the good intentions, but I saw this dad, I've seen him a couple of times, and it's been really hard for me not to, like, just give him a spray. Like, kid does something, he's like, what the fuck were you doing? Like, the kid's no shit this big. It's like, what the fuck were you doing, man? Come on, like, fucking, and like giving him a spray, like, why did you turn like that? You should have done this. Like, this poor little kid's like stuck in the sweep for Greenmount, and I'm like, how's that gonna help him? Like, rather than give him.
That's not unusual though. That's not unusual because,
like, are you projecting your wishes of being a pro surfer on this poor kid? Like,
it's what my main content is I always say, like, I can't teach someone who I have a connection with, who I have, like, not to say like a connection with someone you just met, but a connection in a way where they're either family or something like that, because it creates barriers. Now, you do have the dad that has that patience, who has that push, and will turn around and be the gentle type. But then the kid can sometimes give up. And the kid will give up, or they won't do as well because the attention span is coming from the wrong angle. And that's, I've actually told fathers that before, where I've gone, look, give me a shot at it. Give me a shot at it and see how they go, because it sounds to me like you're yelling at them. Like, I can understand how much you want them to do well, but maybe just let them see it from a different angle and see how they go. And you just come surfing with us and see what happens. And yeah, it worked 100%. They did a 30-time package with me, and they over the moon with the the reflection on
Yeah.
how much she wanted to go surfing after that.
Well,
So-
I'm coaching a Japanese tutor at the moment. She teaches English in Japan, and she's now going to make a business for other English teachers on teaching their kids because of the same problem. Like they're trying to teach their own kids, the frustration levels, and then they don't like it, and then there's resentment, and then the angle and the tone and all of that. So now she's going to work with the English teachers on how they can be better teachers in general, teaching English, but then she teaches their kids for them. Yeah. So
that's good though. That's at least like they're getting it from both angles.
Yeah.
You know, like they get to see from the parents' side of things how much they want them to learn, and then on top of that, they also get to learn it from someone who's going to be, I guess, a little bit more centered.
Yeah, and I think it also, this goes for any type of coaching. When someone's too close to it, like you think that they're judging, or that it's said with a different inflection, or there's a bit of impatience. Like we used to joke when I had my recruitment firm that they come in, if you just hire an actor to come in and regurgitate the same shit the manager says to them every day, and then all of a sudden everyone like takes it on board, but it's just a new set of eyes. Or you see like boyfriends and girlfriends in the surf, and like the dynamic of that, they're just trying to help, but it sense the tone, and often it just takes that third party removed that they know doesn't have any ulterior motives or energy attached to it to come at it, and it's only got the best interest at heart. You're here to do a job and to get you the result, and that's a bit easier to take on board. None of the hangover of the
that's probably my favorite thing when it comes to like understanding what I can offer. Like being able to bring it back and just show each person has a different way of surfing, has a different pop-up, has a different technique, and I can really break that down with the skateboard. And I can see what they're going to do wrong in the water. So when we do eventually get in the water, I can go, oh, look, what I was telling you before about the skateboard where you were doing this wrong, you're doing that in the water too.
Yeah.
And then, and then you just go step by step, like we got several different means to teach people to surf. You've got cameras, I've got helmets that I can put people in helmets and talk to them while I'm sitting behind the camera, all that sort of stuff. And for me, when you've got a lifetime of surfing, it doesn't matter how good a surfer you are. It really comes down to how good a coach you can be to somebody, and how you can relate to somebody in a sense where they can feel comfortable. And that's what makes someone a good coach, or a good business person.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So would you recommend like anyone that's wanting to up their surfing game to get on a surf skate?
Definitely, because I mean, regardless of what surf skate you get on, it's going to help you, feel more fluent through the surf.
Yeah.
I would definitely go with, for me, I feel like SmoothStar was my favorite. And the reason why was because when I made a mistake, or when I didn't quite do the technique right, I could feel it. But I mean, if you're not an advanced surfer, you really need someone to really help you with that, I think. But yeah, if you want to feel more, like a surfing feeling, definitely jump on the surf skate.
Yeah, beautiful. I was thinking about this the other day in terms of surfing and why I want to pick up a coach. Is I used to play football, and like when I played football, we had a sprint coach, we had a lifting coach, we had offense coach, we had a defense coach. Like you had someone who was an expert in every area, and even though we're not going towards getting paid for that one, but even just in touch football, like you've got a coach.
Yeah.
Where a lot of times the surfers, we don't think to go and get a coach. Like you might get a lesson when you're learning, and then you don't get coached. And you can progress so much faster. And the same goes with business, right? You want to progress your business, get a business coach.
Yeah.
Get someone who knows exactly what they're doing for that particular thing that you're trying to do. Anything in life, if you get someone that has got the knowledge and can talk to you on that level. So why do you think it is that like most surfers like don't get a coach, like they just battle it out? What's the mindset behind that?
Well, I feel like there's not a lot of it out there.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot of learn to surf stuff.
Yeah.
But no one can really, it's really like sitting behind a camera is all really that's been there.
Yeah.
No one's really, I guess, until, the last few years has really gone with the skating.
Yeah.
And gone that way and tried to offer that to, I guess, surfers that are trying to get better.
Yeah. So you
And
think it's just like,
well, that
most
was
of
the
us didn't know
hole
it
in the
was there.
market that I seen.
Yeah.
So for me,
So
the
walk
hole
us
in the
through that. Like, go through the business model again. So you originally were like, right, doing the hats, got this, see the gap there, like,
yeah.
get the dads and the kids and do the little twin thing, like super cute. Get out, just pay on the pavement. But you were saying to me before, you saw a hole in the market.
Yeah, I saw a hole in the market. The market was lacking for me. Like when I was growing up as a kid, I didn't really have a father that would take me to the surf. They just didn't have time. They were working or doing. My dad was a surfer, but
Yeah.
you know, I might once in a blue moon get to go surfing with my stepdad.
Yeah.
And you know, like for me, I kind of saw that and realized like how long it took me to get good. And I really wanted to offer that to other people. I knew that there wasn't many guys out there really teaching people how to get better. And I felt like I had enough experience in order to help people that, you know, may not have the father that surfs or may not have the mother that take them, you know, surfing. So I'm kind of like, I feel like half of me is a trainer.
Hire a dad.
Yeah, sort of, but without being the dad.
Rent a boyfriend.
It was more like it was like a childcare center for surfers.
Yeah.
And that was where it kind of came in, and
I love that idea.
you know, like
drop them off. I'm going to work.
drop them off. Parents can go home, cook dinner in the
Yeah.
afternoon, or you know, drop them off before school.
Yeah.
And I take them surfing. You know, like we go out, have a great time, come in, they're super charged up, ready for school.
Yeah.
You know, for me, if I had a good surf that early morning, I'd go to school super stoked, super happy, and you know, no one could really get me down that day.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what I'm offering for a lot of students. You know, they go to school and they might have a bully or something like that, but there's no bully out in the water if I'm there.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it's you against yourself out there. It's you if they're having a bad surf, I'll see it straight away. And then that's when I go, "Oi, come over here. I'm gonna get you one." And then as soon as they get that one wave, everything goes away.
Stoke levels up.
Yeah, everything goes away.
Yeah.
They come in super stoked. You know, every day I try my hardest to make sure that every grom gets that one good wave. You know, and that's what it's about. Have a stoke level and be a frother.
Yeah. I'm going to switch gears on you. We were talking before also, like during obviously COVID, things that have happened, the 5 of the stores that you had your hats in closed their doors.
Yes.
Walk me through a couple of things. Like, what have you done with your mindset to keep positive and keep trucking during this time with, you know, outside influences? And what are you doing to keep moving forward and make changes?
So I built a skate ramp.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a skate ramp designed for surfing. So on one side, it's a nice big hill, a roll in, and on the other side, it's like a bit of a slant. So you go from one side to the other to get high and low. A lot of people struggle getting high and low in surf.
Yeah.
Which is more about creating energy through your legs to get from one end of the spectrum to the other. So meaning to get from the bottom of the wave to the top of the wave. A lot of people really struggle getting high, like getting down the wave and then coming back up.
Yeah.
Most people will stay up quite high on the wave when they go to do a turn. So I've kind of designed more like a wave simulator for skaters or for surf skaters.
Sick.
So it was first designed by SmoothStar, which was the company that designed the skaties. And then I was able to get it off them because I'm a pretty big affiliate with them. And I went down, picked it up, and drove it all the way back on a trailer.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Where from?
From Sydney.
Shit.
So it took me nearly a whole day to get it all the way back.
Yeah.
And then it was a bit weathered, but I've just been restoring it, just making it like when I was young, all I did was grab my stepdad's tools. He's a carpenter, and I just grabbed his tools and made my own skate ramps.
Yes.
And the first time I turned on his Makita saw, he came out, "Oi, I said you could use the tools. I didn't know you were going to use the power tools." It's like, "Oh, but it's going to take too long."
Yeah.
It's going to take too long if I'm doing this. He's like, "All right, I'll help you." So that was like the first stepdad moment I had with him. We built like a ramp together. And then, from there, I just started using the tools and creating like fun boxes and all sorts of different skate things, because when I was a kid in Lennox, there was no skate parks.
Yeah.
So all I had was being a surfer, and I also started skating, and I just, I got bored quick.
Yeah.
And
Especially if there's no waves.
well, there was no phones back then.
There's internet rubbish.
Yeah, no
These
internet either.
devices.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
So I think I suppose I got off track a little bit there, but through COVID was more about restructuring the business along the lines of understanding on who my clientele was, who my target market was, and re-energize myself for what was to come. I actually lost my brother through just as COVID started, to suicide, which was quite hard for me. It was a big stepping stone for my life. I mean, you heard the story of us when we got those waves together, and the year before COVID came in, him and I shared South Africa together.
Broke my toe at J Bay.
Oh, really?
3 months in the moon boot.
Far out. So I mean, like he was really one of those kids. Like we were very alike. He was young. He was only 24. And suffering from depression, and it was really hard for me to lose someone so close to me, and someone who had such a soft heart and had such big love, and we never fought, never had a fight, he was just really a rock star in my eyes. And I feel like, for me, it was a stepping stone in my life that instead of looking down at the negative, I wanted to look at the positives of what he created in his life, and what really reflected on me the most, and was happiness.
Yeah.
So I feel like South Africa was really the time we got to spend. We didn't get to spend a lot of time when we were younger. I was traveling a lot, and he was going through school. So when we got older, we got to spend that more time together and more time around each other. And the more I got to know him as a person, I got to see a lot of myself in him as a young age. Obviously, as you grow up, you become, more reflected on people and how they talk to you and all that sort of stuff. As you get older, you don't take as much shit, all that sort of stuff. So, but he was like a younger version of me, and to lose that was such a big deal to me. And instead of going downhill, I decided, this is not, he wouldn't want that, and and I'm going to stay strong for my mom, because I'm looking after her as well.
Yeah.
And I just decided, I've just got to stay strong for the family, and keep positive.
Yeah.
And waking up every day for me and going down and teaching people what I love and what I really enjoy is really what gets me up in the morning. And seeing people's faces after they've had a good day just reminds me of him. So I've got plenty of reminders that remind me of him for all the good times. And I feel like, if he made his choice based on how he was feeling and what happened in him, what was going on with him, there's nothing I can do to change that. But all I can do is just remember him for the person he was. And he was such a great human, and anyone who knew him loved him. And, it just sucks to lose a person like that. And I'd hate for that to happen to anyone else. So, I feel like I can try and be a role model for other people to have fun and enjoy their life, and not look at the other side of, when you come back on land, when, it's maybe not so bright. So I feel like the ocean's a great getaway for that. And I like promoting that.
Wow. That's a beautiful outlook and a beautiful way to remember him and to honor him. And I think with what you're doing in the world is super beneficial, because especially if you think about the kids that don't have the dads that can take them, or they don't get to live into that as well, and to give them that escape. When you're talking about might have a bully at school, and just get them out and get them to froth, especially if it's at a young age, the damage that can be done at that age, and what carries on, and the trauma that stays with them that can't be fixed. So I think that's just the other thing I see in that there as well is you gave up, say, a job that was well paying, that you could have kept moving through the ranks, and to follow what really is inside of you. And for me, it feels like it's a gift that you've got. you're not just building a business and doing something that's fun for you. You're giving a gift to. Oh, I'm gonna get choked up. To all those, not only the little frothers but the big frothers, like in empowering them a bit with giving them the joy of the ocean, and like it seems to me like that's what you were sent here to do. And where does your positivity come from? Like, where did you learn this, or how do you cultivate it? Like, how do you look at that situation and then COVID hits and everything's fucking gone to shit, and you don't just go, you know what, fuck it, and be negative, like, because there's people that are doing that. How did you decide to use that positivity? How did you put that lens on things?
I mean, for me, like, when I was younger, I had so many. I was a good-looking kid, and I got bullied for being good-looking. Yeah. I had guys that were jealous. They wanted to fight me. They thought that their girlfriend wanted to hook up with me or something. And that, for me, really made me. I started boxing. I started doing things that, like, to protect myself, not because I wanted to hurt them back, but because I didn't want to feel
unsafe.
I didn't want to feel anxious. I didn't want to feel anxiety. I didn't want to be beaten up as a kid. So for me, I learned how to fight. I didn't stick with one thing. I was like, I played golf well. I played hockey. I played all contact sports. I got into touch footy, rugby, union, and I got good with every single one. So sport really was, for me, like, my way of, like, breaking free of all the other stuff in school and all that sort of stuff, because it was so easy for kids to bully you. It's so easy for people to get jealous of you, and that's all the way up as you grow up, you know. And not everyone's gonna like you, you know. And I've met people all around the world who have showed me more about myself than I could ever dream of. So I felt like traveling really done it for me. Really opened me up for, like, what I was capable of and what my dreams may be, and really make me feel like what I wanted in life. And that I could accomplish it if I really put my mind to it. So I think that's where it really came from. I've really from a young age always wanted something bigger for myself and wanted the best for myself. And I don't really let people get me down. They will, even though that, you know, we're not perfect and we don't do everything right, and there's always curveballs get thrown at us. I always try and have my best interests at heart and do my best by other people. And, you know, and I feel like that's the way I like to, like, present myself. And, you know, you can't win with everyone, but you can only try. And those people who don't like you, well, you know, good luck to them.
Yeah.
You know, so, but, you know, you just got to try and stay positive in the sense of really understanding that we've only got one life. We could be hit by a car tomorrow. That, you know, you meet so many good people every day if you're open and willing to meet them. Yeah. You know, and this is how we met. So I really appreciate meeting you, Jade, and I really can see, like, what you're creating, and I'm stoked for you. So welcome to the good life.
Thank you. Super stoked.
So yeah, this is a sick setup. You know, you can go anywhere, and you can live the dream. So, you know, for anyone out there trying to make do with what they're trying to create, go for it. You know, like, what have you really got to lose? You know, and when it comes down, you're always going to get curveballs. Always. Like, I wake up every morning and there's a curveball. There's a councilman trying to find me for parking on my own street, just off the thing. And it's like, come on, man. Like, here I am trying to work day to day, and you want to come and find me for parking next to the road. You know, like, I'm not even parking on the grass anymore. So, like, there's all these curveballs in life, but you got to get past them. And, you know, you stay positive. I think being positive is really, that can be the hardest thing. And especially in times when people are knocking you down or life's knocking you down, people are always, they dwell on that. And the less you dwell on that, the better. Yeah. Because the positivity will overweigh all the negativity if you let it.
Yeah. Is it not wallow in the...
Yeah, it's really easy. I see it through some of my friends when they're doing it tough, and they dwell on the negativity. They dwell on it, and I'm like, mate, like, with everything that's going on in your life, it's really nothing compared to the next guy. Yeah. You know, forget about the crap, forget about the bullshit, and move on. The more you hold on to that, the more it weighs over you. And I learned that growing up a lot. I felt like the more I dwelled on it, the more I'd have, you go through that phase of, alcohol and the wrong road.
Yeah.
And it's quite easy to go down that road. And, I feel like it's just people not objectively opening up to the way they actually feel and just moving on. But, every now and then we're gonna lose people in our lives that, that reflect the way other people are acting to other people, and I think people need to open up their eyes and see COVID for what it really is a chance to reinstate yourself with what you really want, because a lot of people can't work.
Yes.
A lot of people aren't in understanding of what it is that life is really for. And, for us Queenslanders, it's been pretty good compared to, you got Victoria all shut up in their homes for God knows how long, and they can't get out, as we're living the dream, surfing waves and having a great time. So I think that, like, if you look at us in other countries, we've got it really good. We've got it really nice, and a lot of people want to move here. It's such a beautiful place, and that's what I look at.
Yeah.
I look at what I got instead of looking over the fence.
Yeah.
It's not worth it.
That's something that I learned a few years ago. Is like, really, it's the practice of gratitude, right? So sprinkle some gratitude wherever you sprinkle it, that's going to grow. So if you can just wake up and be super grateful for the good things you've got, and your attention, like where your attention goes, energy flows. So if you focus on the shit things, you're going to get more fucking shit things. Where you focus on the positive things, you're going to get more positive things. Like beginning of COVID, everyone's like, how are you even coping? Because I was supposed to be in Bali teaching. I was supposed to go to Kuala Lumpur. I was going to be getting sent to Costa Rica, and then I was going to be in Amsterdam, and I'm supposed to be in the Greek Isles right now. And everyone's like, oh, like, and that's my whole business. Get paid to speak and facilitate. I pick up my clients that way. And I'm like, what the fuck else do I want to do? like
Totally. Oh, look at that bait ball down there.
Oh, you'd be staying away from that bait ball.
Woo. Shark heaven.
If I was him, I'd be getting the hell out of there. But it's like, I've got a super blessed spot. But even some of my friends from around the world, like that were stuck in shit locations, comparatively, were like, well, actually, I've got the computer. Like, I used to stream my sunrise live every morning because I live at Palmy on the reef, and I started feeling bad about doing it. But then, I voiced that on one of my things, and a bunch of people were like, please don't stop. Like, I get up every day to watch your sunrise.
Yeah.
And they were grateful for the fact that they had internet, so they could watch us live sunrise.
Wow.
And you're like, oh, perspective, man. Like, so if we can teach ourselves the habit of going, okay, I'm not going to focus on the negative stuff. I'm going to look at what is some positive thing. Oh, I've got fingers that move. I've got 2 eyes that can see. Yeah. Other people don't have that. Yeah. And then focus on that, and each day you'll find something new. Yeah. To focus on rather than dwell on, and it's going to change your mindset. For sure. I know we've been talking for a while, so we'll wrap this up. I want you to just if you can give the listeners like 3 top tips of yours, and you can choose whether business, surfing, life, mindset. What are 3 tips from Cory? Okay, 3 tips from me. All right, so I would say that be sugar free. I'm fucking all about sugar free. Be sugar free, yeah. This was actually my brother's shirt. So I feel like most people are dwelling on COVID the wrong way. Some people are not, but like a lot of people have lost a lot, and some people haven't. Some people it's gone the opposite. For me, I felt like COVID, it was a chance for people to really see life in a different light, and that now their lifestyle choice is now surfing more. Yeah. So I've been getting more people, more adults have been coming, which is great. So I feel like I saw it as a blessing, as an opportunity to redevelop. And I have clients that lost everything, like lost their whole businesses, and they went, do you know what? I was fucking chained to that thing, and I hated it. And it was killing me. And this was actually my permission slip to get rid of it and to do something that I actually like doing. Yeah. Like,
So opening up your mindset.
Yeah.
Opening up your mindset to what you believe in or what you might want to achieve. And that's my number one. Like if you really want to go about your day, wake up in the morning and set yourself, a simple small goal that gives you a stepping stone to what you want to do, and see how that makes you feel.
I love
That would be my first one. My second one would be like stop looking over the fence and wondering what's my neighbour doing.
Yeah.
Start concentrating on yourself a bit more and understanding what you want as a person. That would be my second one. And then my third one would be as simple as like happiness. We've got, the main thing I got tattooed on myself is freedom. We're all free over here in Australia. So create your own happiness.
Like it. I've got mine. I've got today I will, and that comes back to your earlier statements. Like just make that choice of one thing that's going to make you move forward. And I was going through a shit time. I went through divorce, and I was trying to decide whether I was in a business that wasn't serving me. I was wearing a fucking pinstripe suit every day. Hadn't surfed for 17 years, and I started to get into that. I've achieved all of this wealth and success and awards, and I'm fucking dying. It's like, you know what? Every day, today I will fucking choose happiness.
Yeah.
Today I will push forward. Today I'll start living the life that I want to live.
Yeah, and look at you now.
Yeah, now I'm fucking. I traded my
amazing.
I traded my Lotus Elise for a van.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Perfect.
I'm like
best
stoked,
movie
man.
you've ever done, I reckon.
Yeah, so it's so good. Like literally Monday night, I took off down to the WSL because they had the finals on Monday instead. I coached my clients from here, and then I was like, oh, I'm all the way down here, and I wanted to catch up with someone and have a wine. So I just rang my sister and said, can I park my van in your front yard and sleep the night? She's like, yeah. I'm like, got any wine glasses? I didn't pack or anything. And she's like, yeah, I'll leave them in the garage. Don't wake your kids up. So I just went down to the WSL, slept in the van, pulled out my camera, went back to work.
So you meet any cool characters at the WSL?
I literally, as soon as I pulled up, I had 6 hours of back-to-back calls.
Oh, wow.
So I bumped into a friend that used to film for the WSL. One of the guys that had just come out of the semis, I didn't even get to see him because I was here talking and I could hear them here. And I'm like, nah, I didn't get to meet shit. But because of the van, they let me drive into the comp area, park it right in a prime spot. Like, I just wanted to be down there to get some publicity for the podcast. Yeah. And they literally just plonked me right behind the judges' tents, and everyone's coming past taking photos.
And where did it come from? Where did all of a sudden, like, I've got to be down at the world event on the Gold Coast?
Well, I did it, like, I've been talking about, the van hasn't been finished, and I kind of got it, and I wasn't supposed to have it this week, and I was supposed to be back getting finished. So I hadn't really been looking at the events or where I could try and get publicity. But then my sister rang and she was like, I just drove past the WSL, like, you really should have the van there. And I was like, one of those inspired moments of, what am I going to do? So I rang my next client and said, can I just bump you half an hour? And he's a surfer as well. And I'm like, I was going to go to the WSL. He's like, I'm streaming it live. He's like, yeah, fuck yeah, get down there. And I was just like, you know, that's one of those things where you go, do I do it or what's the gut say? Yeah. And I literally had two guys come up and say, what do you do? What's going on? And they're like, I used to have a business and I'm starting a new business and want to get into coaching. I need a coach. And I'm like, do you know what I mean? Like, two clients could come out of that.
Yeah, totally.
And it's just that reaction rather than going, oh, it's a bit hard, or what am I going to do? I'm not going to be able to get a park. And I did the old dodgy, like, pulled up to where the barricade was and stopped the car, got out, pretended I was getting something out of the car, waiting for the security to come tell me I couldn't park in this sketchy spot. And he's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, oh, just like, I need to get something out of the van. I've got to set up. And he's like, you with the tour? I'm like, well, what if I said yes? And they just let me in. So,
yeah. Well, all the best things come from random activities.
Yeah.
So I could definitely understand that completely.
You just got to push the envelope. So that story is like, if you don't ask, you don't get. If you're not willing, like, do you know what I mean? I could have been scared and not asked. Like,
you could have said no.
Yeah, or you could have gone, oh, nah. Or not, like, I knew what I was doing deliberately, like I was up there edging. Yeah. Right? And I think there's so many opportunities in life where we let the fear get the better of us, or what are they going to think, or like, oh, they just, that mindset of, oh, they're just going to say no. Yeah. Well, so what if you said no? Yeah. Like, what did I have to lose? But we don't ask the question. You going into the shops with your hats. Yeah. Right?
Oh, yeah, I had
no's.
I had no's, but the no's, I got 5 yeses. So you think I worried about the nose anymore? No,
Yeah.
not anymore. You know, and I think that came from my sales as well. I did sales for a long time, and I used to sell Kirby vacuum cleaners and water purification in Burleigh.
Yeah.
And, you know, I had 20 no's before I had, 30 yeses. But it was how I spoke to people and how I approached them and how I talked to them. I wasn't always trying to sell them something. I just walked to them and asked them some questions, be friendly and be genuine. And that's where a lot of your sales and a lot of your business will come from, when people just openly want to come up and learn a little bit about what you're willing to offer.
Yeah.
You know, you scrape back the sales part and you give them a little bit something to walk away with, and then, you know, sometimes you get those phone calls up and like, oh, are you free? You're like, you know what, I am.
Yeah.
And that's where I like to, sit on the phone with anyone who wants to chat to me and ask them, where you're at, what do you like about your surfing, what do you want to get better at? I don't ask for anything else other than that. And I get to know the person, the individual, and I ask for the same thing. Like when people want to book with me, I don't want to do a group lesson straight up.
Yeah.
I want to learn one-on-one who you are, what you want, where you're at, and understand the individual before I start telling you what you should be fixing and what you need to develop in. And that's, I think, what I feel like what has really expanded me as a coach.
Yeah.
Has really helped me to move forward and see what I'm offering is a really, really good thing. And so I just sit back now and work on each individual and bring them in as a group. So I don't just have, say you're, where you're at as a surfer, you might be learner intermediate. I'm not going to put you with advanced, am I? So I'm going to work. I want to work with anyone who wants to come and see me, and I'm not going to give them a hard time. But I'm also going to help them with what they want to achieve, and that's what a coach does.
Awesome. I'm sold. I'm coming along. So look down the barrel of the camera and tell everyone.
Yeah, I've been
looking
at you and not looking at everybody else.
But right now we're going to show your face. Like, we get some light on you. There we go. Look at the light. Technology, guys.
Yeah.
Now, tell them where we can find you. So, there we go. Woo-hoo.
So you can find me at littlefrothers.com. You'll see on the page there that all my activities are on there. So you can also look at Little Frothers Instagram. So all the things that we get up to is on there as well. You'll see the skate ramp, you'll see the skateboards, you'll see how I teach, you'll see some pop-ups there, you'll see some how to wax your board, those sorts of things. So, like I like to just try and make cool little videos. I'm not out there to be the next pro coach. I'm just trying out there to, put myself out there as a person, trying to offer people a rite of passage to surfing, and let people have some fun out there and try and get the barrel into their life like I did. So that's important.
My goal this year is to get proper barreled, like full cover, not even sticking out, and spat. That's what I will learn. That's going to be your job. Teach me how to get there.
Yeah, well, for sure. Let's do it. I'm keen.
Sweet. Thank you so much.
No worries. Thank you.
It was awesome. I'm stoked. Hey guys, this is another wrap for the Barrels and Business podcast. As always, if you've enjoyed the show at all, you think anyone else could benefit from hearing this stuff, please just share it out there, and we'll see you next time. Hey there, barrel chasing business owners. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the show. What I would love for you to do, if you feel like you got any value or entertainment out of this episode at all, is to leave us a 5-star review and comment below so that we can share the message and impact as many business owners like you as possible. Thanks.